It's Monday. It's time, everybody, for our favorite Monday segment. It's time for Prospected with the Welsh. That's right, everybody. We're going to talk to our pal, the Welsh. He's going to tell us about some prospects we've got on the back burner. Minor leagues are going to come up real quick through those farm systems, one of which is going to make a start coming up this week, and his name is Chase Burns, because Chase Burns apparently is ready for the big leagues. Incredible season for him, just incredible. 22 years old. He has a 1.77 ERA, a .77 WHIP, 89 strikeouts, 13 walks over 66 innings this year. He's widely viewed as one of the best prospects in baseball when it comes to pitchers. And Chase Burns, we thought, okay, maybe after the All-Star break we're going to see him. But after being promoted to AAA, the Reds apparently have seen enough, and I got to hand it to the Reds too. I mean, Hunter Green's really come on this year. Unfortunately, injuries have derailed him yet again. That same groin issue. Lodolo's been finally, I think, getting back on track. Andrew Abbott's been really solid. So Chase Burns, if he can give them quality innings here, Welsh, this is a huge win for this rotation. But from a fantasy perspective, are you ready to trust him in redraft? That, I think, is the big question.
Yeah, and this is a little different than we usually do here on the prospecting segment because we know he's coming up. But I do believe we're in a very weird time right now, leading into futures game and All-Star break, where prospect stuff is going to be kind of wishy-washy. You know, like they're making plans. Prospects are already finding out if they're going to the futures game and whatnot. So as far as like what impactful call-ups are going to happen, I think we're in a little bit of a lull. But it leads into a super, super important thing, like you mentioned, with Chase Burns to talk about, and another pitcher we're going to get to, because Chase Burns, he went full school of Rhett Lauder with the Reds, and the Reds had given us this, this blueprint of how they were going to do it. I questioned it earlier in the year, and over the last 3 weeks, we could see like, no, they're only going to give him 3 or 4 starts in AAA, and he's going to be at the majors. And he's put up some really great stuff in the minors. So, am I going to trust him? Yeah, I think I'm going to jump into the pool because I think the strikeouts are so high. From a stuff perspective, in AAA, we got to see some of his data, hitting 98 on average on the fastball, throws a high upper 80s, just about 89 on average slider. He's heavy fastball slider. Throws a 90-mile-an-hour changeup, which induces a bunch of strikeouts with how his fastball goes. And then he's got a curve that's in there. And through AAA, had a little over 10 K per 9, a 2 ERA in just a couple of starts. And I think he's going to come up, and I think that combination is going to do really, really well. I mean, his extension is great. I think Chase Burns, I've been arguing with myself in the prospecting rank world, he might be the number one starting pitcher in the minor leagues right now. Ironically, we are going to talk about the other two with this, though, because Chase Burns, I think, vies for that spot. And Joe, I'm going to do the transition into this one because this was a question that I brought up with Chase Burns because I think Chase Burns, you should go and pick up. I'm comfortable in spot starts. I think he's here because the Reds are competitive, and he is here to help them win games the rest of the way through. But here's going to be the number one question, Mr. Joe Pisapia. Should I drop Bubba Chandler for Chase Burns? Because you guys asked the same question last week. Should I drop Mizorowski, or should I drop Bubba Chandler for Mizorowski? And the answer is yes. It is yes, because and I'll let you jump into Bubba, and then I'm
going to full Daniel Bryan old school yes on you.
Yeah,
I mean,
I've got.
What are we waiting for, Bubba Chandler at this point?
Yeah, I've got some takes on Bubba, but I took the transition or the open from you on it real quick. If you want to hit the leading into Bubba, because things have been bad for Bubba. He's never coming up, but I don't think he's coming up anytime soon, my friend.
I don't either. And look, I don't know what more there is to be said. I think you had the fever pitch where he was pitching very well. There was certainly room in that rotation for him. And the Pirates are saying, no, we're super cheap. This is what we do. We just don't care. And then I don't know if it was a combination of maybe him getting frustrated and maybe pout. I mean, it happens sometimes. Players pout sometimes. Players get pissed off sometimes that they're not where they're supposed to be. It sometimes messes with their mental focus at times too. Or we're also seeing maybe there's something that Pittsburgh saw that they were like, you know what, we really don't think he's ready. And that's what we're seeing. So I don't know if you want to choose from column A or column B. But which do you think is the more likely answer when it comes to the answer for Bubba Chandler's struggles recently?
I think they used manipulation and it worked out in their favor because there also was something. So I think it was like, we're the Pirates. Why are we rushing him? We lost Jared Jones. Like, we're not going to rush it too hard. But they obviously had data across the board. And you could just look at, his stats as well, that it was like, all right, first month was great. If the clock started to tick into May and June, that they had some stuff with the command. He was really heavy. Like when he started, he was fastball slider, and then it kind of opened up to some of his secondaries, and then it kind of went back into that same area. But what could have been manipulation turned into clearly them seeing something, because 3 of his last 4 starts in June, he has failed to go 3 innings. He hasn't even gotten 3 innings in 3 of his last 4 starts. He has a June ERA of over 10 right now. He has walked more batters than he struck out in June. 4 starts in June. I think he's massively talented. He's got one of the highest graded fastballs out there. Maybe he's a little bit more too pitchy than they want, but also maybe it's confidence. I don't know what it is, but the results are not there. So there will be a time where he probably times out from being in AAA, where it's just like there's just no more benefit. End of the year, you want to get him a couple major league starts and stuff, but we might just be so far beyond impactful time on a bad team in general that I hate to do it, because it's like you've held on to him for so long. And hopefully you didn't miss out anything. But yeah, the writing is on the wall now that it's not just one bad start in June. It's 3 of 4 starts have been bad. He's not going deep. This doesn't work well for anything. And I now cannot see him almost until August, to be honest with you, because you're going to have a couple more starts before the Futures game, get a rest, come back. And I think we're 3 weeks to a month out right now. So yeah, I would cut Bubba Chandler for Chase Burns if Mizorowski's not going to be out there anymore. And I might do it for the other pitcher that we're going to talk about here in a second as well.
Is he going to be on the Futures roster? Did they name those rosters yet? I don't think
the roster, I think players are being informed, but there's not been a formal announcement. Okay, there's almost no way. Sometimes what they do with these rosters, though, is it's a popularity contest. But I think it would be very difficult to justify Bubba Chandler being on that list. So I'm going to say no, he's not. But, it's a popularity contest. So
all right,
let's
talk about Chase DeLauter of the Cleveland Guardians, who 21 games so far at AAA after coming back from an injury, 3 home runs, 12 RBI, slashing 297, 418, 486 with a 904 OPS. He's been terrific. We've waited a long time for Chase DeLauter. There's no doubt about that. He is 23 years old. The time is now. The Guardians desperately need some more help. They can knock Lane Thomas out or somebody else. I don't care. Bring this kid up. Let him play if he's hitting, because Jose Ramirez needs more help besides Stephen Kwan.
And I think this is one of the few guys, you're starting to ask yourself, how many more impactful prospects can really get up to the majors? There's tons of great prospects out there. But, if they're not in AA, if they're AA even is just like a tough thing. All of the big guys have gone up. And you could argue maybe DeLauter isn't quite that type of player, but he has been thought of in many circles as like a high-end prospect, but nobody has had more injury problems than Chase DeLauter. So I think the first thing that the Guardians have been trying to do is just make sure that they can get him out consistently into games. Well, he has had almost an entire month in June where he's hitting 340 this month. He's finally healthy. He's out of the complex league. He was in the complex league in May, played a little bit in AAA in June, and now he's up full on in June, 340. He's got a couple homers in there, a couple extra base hits. He's walking, I believe, he's double his walks to strikeouts, which is something that he just does. He has a really great bat path. He doesn't swing at bad pitches. He's a pretty talented guy, ran a bunch in the AFL. He actually would be a very sneaky fantasy value if he were to come up and play regularly, because also the ballpark benefits him as a left-handed hitter. So Chase DeLauter is someone you should pay attention to. I think after a month of really good production and being healthy, the team might bring him up. He's missed so much time, which is why he might be held back a little bit. But DeLauter should be pretty soon. Keep him on your watch list, and I'd be very interested if he comes up.
All right, a couple more guys we're going to talk about too real quick. We're going to fly through. The first is Didier Fuentes, who we touched on last week when he was making his debut for the Atlanta Braves. Well, that happened over the weekend. Not the results we were looking for, but certainly you saw some of the flashes of why the Braves are excited about him. 3 strikeouts, 5 innings, 4 earned runs. Again, just 20 years old, and he's definitely been rushed. He had 1 start at AAA, and the ERA overall in the minor leagues this year is high because he's been very limited in terms of the amount of innings. But now the Chris Sale injury on top of the A.J. Smith-Shawver injury, the Braves are kind of desperate for starting pitching. The good news is, if you look at the strikeout to walk rate here for him. It's been very good at the minor league level this season. So that is a positive. But at the same time, Welsh, there's certain limitations you're going to see when it comes to him. 48 strikeouts, by the way, in 39 innings. So the strikeout potential is there. The stuff is there. The question is, what are you going to get in terms of innings out of Fuentes?
Yeah, I don't think much. I don't think the fantasy production is there. If you're getting some spot starts, it's interesting. Like I have like some pseudo interest, I suppose, long term, but the curveball sweeper combination is great, but the results weren't there. I think with how competitive this team is going to be, maybe it's something where you throw in, I want to say they did something similar with the bullpen with AJ Smith-Shawver, that I think that's where he would end up going at this age instead of big starts. So redraft perspective, I'm not super interested. It was low Ks after this, and I wouldn't be trying to jump to pick him up right now.
Here's a question from Angel. Will Painter get called up this year? Well, that's the next guy on our list to talk about, because Andrew Painter allowed 2 runs, 5 innings in Saturday in a start at Lehigh Valley. So thoughts on Painter and where his current situation is looking at the 2025 season and what's left of it?
Yeah, so this is the guy I think I would just drop Bubba for him. And I hate doing it. I've been so staunch about this entire process with Bubba, but like to have it be so bad in June, I think just screams at us. And Andrew Painter, they had told us from day one that he was a mid-season rotation guy at best. So we're going to slow roll him. Well, guess what? It's mid-ish season and he is in AAA. He's got some AAA starts in. Results have been like a little bit varying in AAA, but he's got 36 innings so far, a 10K per 9. Walks have been up more than he wants, but he's just got really great stuff. Fastball around 97 right now. He's got the slider, the curve, the changeup, the cutter. I mean, he's got like 4 to 5 pitches he's throwing for at least double-digit percentage of the time. I think he can help that team win. So I think we're going to see Andrew Painter before Bubba now. So yeah, I think I would go and pick up Andrew Painter.
And one other guy, too, to just throw out there, too, Jonah Tong. I know we don't talk a lot about the AA guys, but 11 strikeouts, 7 2/3 for him. I assume he's going to get promoted pretty soon to AAA, but just keep a note of him in those deeper leagues, too, because the Mets have had some issues here with some of the starting pitchers. Maybe he gets a couple of spot starts. It's not impossible. I think it's unlikely. I also think it's even more unlikely the Mets trade him, but in terms of dynasty assets that are pretty high, if you are out of it right now, it looks like Jonah Tong might be a guy you want to acquire and trade off some pieces to start rebuilding. He might be a nice building block of your rotation for the future. And that, my friends, is Prospecting with the Welsh. Make sure you follow us on FantasyPros MLB for more prospect talk and more fantasy baseball.